Hey, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Color Commentary, where we look at things from a different side. I'm your host, Rashad Waters, and we will be talking about the brand new show off of Netflix, Bright, featuring Will Smith. We have our panel, as usual, the Color Commentary guys, starting out with Mr. Danny Torrey J. Quick, the man with four names. What's happening there, sir?
Danny Torrey J. Man, it's Danny J. Quick. Get it together.
What,
People
but you
peeping.
say, but you keep. We know that you're Tory, so explain that.
That's Danny Jatori Quick. That's just my name.
It's Jatori. There
It's
you go,
Jatori, yeah.
ladies and
Just
gentlemen.
making
Yes,
out there.
right here, live on your viewing station. Danny's middle name is Jatori. If you didn't know, boom. How you doing there, sir?
Good.
He's doing good. All right. And then on the other side, we got Mr. Charlie Phillip Taylor, the second.
Stop. I'm a junior, bro. Anyways,
A second and a junior are the same.
hey, I like junior better. Junior just sounds.
Like a junior bacon. Junior bacon Charlie. All right, guys. Let's get into this show here. Man, Bright was such an interesting thing. Me personally, I thought that Bright was going to be a TV series based on all the marketing that Netflix did. Maybe I got it wrong. That's what I was thinking about it. But these guys convinced me that we need to do a show on this show. And man, I was ecstatic to have watched it. And I can't wait to share with you guys. We'll go ahead and get started with Mr. Charlie Taylor here. Say what you think about Bright.
Oh, I was really surprised. It definitely fit the description Will Smith gave it. The Lord of the Rings meets Training Day. I had a lot of fun watching the movie. It it keeps you moving. It keeps moving pretty quickly. So I enjoy those type of movies that don't have quite the story build up. Sometimes if they're an action movie, let it be action. Kind of like just let the movie be what it is. Don't try to make it something it's not. So I think they did a good job with it. I never thought that point of view ever thinking about Lord of the Rings in today's age. Living in a city with elves and fairies and all types of things, which I don't think I would last because I would have got ate by something a while back. When just walking down the street, something would just drag me in the woods, especially after I saw that dragon flying in the sky. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't have made it here.
That
So,
was cool.
but yeah, I enjoyed the movie. It was good.
All right. J. Torrey. What's going on? What you think about this?
Story.
Okay. Yeah, but I liked it, man. I heard, all the negative reviews and all that good stuff, but I like the movie, man. That's why I'm glad I watched stuff myself. Because I really liked it. I started watching it and I was hooked from the beginning, with all the you know, just the first orc and to be a police officer. It gave me that Zootopia vibe, gave me that little thing at first. Then they brought in all the racism stuff, and I was like, okay, I see the the parallels here. And then by the time they got to the magic wand, I was hooked. I was like, okay, I like this. I'm down.
Absolutely, man. By the way, I just want to point out to everybody that even though Tori and I have the same beard, same mustache, same glasses, pretty much, and we're both wearing hats, we are not brothers. There's no relation whatsoever. So any of y'all don't comment on here talking about, are y'all brothers? No.
Not that we know of. We don't know. Not that we know of, anyway.
Not that we know
Me
of.
and Charlie are related, but being Rashad or not.
That's the interesting thing. He and Charlie are cousins.
Okay.
DNA test has not come back for me and Tori yet. Man, I loved it, man. I was so impressed with the show, and I'm so glad that you guys gave me the chance to, or told me, hey, we need to watch this show, because everybody, we were initially going to do a review on the Punisher series. But Bright came out, and guys were like, hey man, we need to do Bright. I was like, okay, what is this about? Because again, I thought it was a Netflix show, and personally, I thought it was gonna be dumb. Like the previews to me just looked dumb. you know, it's like, okay, he's got magic wands and stuff. Like, what? Like, the preview was cool until he said, he's got a magic wand. And when he said that, I was like, man, what is this? Like, Will Smith, he don't picked a bad movie again. Or bad TV show this time. But no, I was completely wrong, man.
Will
This
Smith
thing,
doesn't make bad movies, man. What are you talking about?
I'm Legend.
Suicide Squad.
I Am Legend was great.
What? No, I said Suicide Squad. Charlie said I Am Legend.
He didn't make that. I don't put that on Will Smith. that was everybody else's fault.
Will Smith
get a 7 pounds.
The highest paid actor in Hollywood, and the reason for that was because he always chose good. He always chose the right movie, and he would turn down roles that he didn't think were for him, and he chose blockbuster after blockbuster. So, Suicide Squad and maybe a couple others that just didn't hit. They probably were good movies, but they just didn't hit. But this series, this show, man, yeah, this is great, man. So I can't wait to get into it a little bit more and get to our specifics. So let's do that. Tori, what did you really like about it, like specifically?
I just like the concept, man. It was everything that they put together from the the societal racial perspectives to just the whole history of, like, it made me ask, like, just watching the movie, I'm like, okay, so when I want to know about this war that happened 2,000 years ago. I want to know about them killing off thousands of orcs in Russia. I want to know about all of that now. Like, they gave me enough to that it wasn't too much, but at the same time, I'm asking questions like, okay, I hope there's another one so that we can get, like, where's the Dark Lord? Where's this dude at? I want to see him. I want him to come back so we can fight him. Like, what exactly is a bright? What do they, what can they do? I want him to get, I want a training montage with him and the staff, with him and the wand. I want all of that. You know what I'm saying? So I just like that it was a new, different kind of story, and that it was something fresh that I'd never seen before. And I never thought that I would want to see something like that, but I did. So I just liked it. I liked every bit of it.
Nice. By the way, you guys, this may be just your second show, so you may not know this, but Tori is actually the owner of Fourth Wall Productions, which is a comic book company, and he is the creator, one of the creators of the ongoing series of Ace Blade, as well as many other characters. So he's a great comic book artist. I hope that you guys will check out Ace Blade and the rest of the crew, King Supreme, and all these guys. And when it comes to fiction, this man knows what he's talking about. Let's go ahead and turn it over to his cousin here, cohort, Charlie Taylor. What'd you like about this thing, man?
Man, it was. I was really impressed with how they tied the fantasy to real reality, and it made it work. Like, wow, these are just day-to-day problems. Like, we got a ferret that's attacking a part of the house, like just like any other, like, little aggravating animal that's outside.
That was
You have the hood people. You have our whole society is basically the same, but they just added that fantasy perspective, man. It was. I was very impressed. I was like, when I saw the previews, I was more intrigued. I thought it would. I was like, what? This is very different. And I think they needed a strong actor like Will just to kind of bring in that audience to kind of give it that chance. Because, I mean, coming from the black perspective of this show, if it's not a black guy that we really know, we probably would not watch that show. Will brought in an audience that probably would have not even gave that show a chance.
Yeah, I agree.
So just seeing that perspective was like, wow, this is one of my favorite actors in Hollywood, and I've been watching him since Fresh Prince. Grew up on this guy. He's basically my generation's Denzel in a way.
I wouldn't go that far.
He is because he's the person that we kind of saw build his career up, and it's still was at the top of the game. Do we have any other black actors that are in that?
There ain't gonna be no other Denzel. It can only be one Denzel.
But Denzel started for somewhere too. And but I was really impressed with how everything worked out. Movie the pace was really done well on the movie. They had very intense moments. They had some comic relief, a lot of action. Um, it kind of left you on like a crazy um, uh, car chase type of thing. You know, like it's just kind of just you jumped in the car or a roller coaster is like you just start up and you're gone. So
Mhm.
I enjoyed it. It had me. I actually watched it at Tori's house in his theater room, which is pretty nice. Um,
Don't be telling people I got theater room, bro.
at the
Wait,
H
you
Blade
guys didn't
house.
tell me about this. Hold up. Wait a second. Hold up. Stop the train. Hold up. What is this? You did not tell me about the theater room and meeting
He
up.
has a theater,
Hold
a
up.
nice
Cancel.
projector
Take a
screen and
pause.
everything.
Hey,
Water break.
Tiana about to come through and shut the whole podcast down. We're not gonna be talking about my theater room. We're not gonna be talking about that.
Y'all, live on the air.
But y'all are both welcome anytime you want to come over. But nobody else. The rest of y'all don't be asking.
I wasn't even invited to the show. Am I not on this with you guys?
you was out doing your thing. We're at a birthday party. That's what we
Yeah,
did.
it was my son's birthday. It was celebrate my son's birthday, and you know the men we have to be out in our own area. You know, while
Your son?
Your
the
daughter's
women
birthday.
in the kids party.
You know what? Because of that, it's about to be my turn. Are you done?
I'm, yeah, I'm done. Go ahead, Mr. Waters.
Man, I love this show. The first thing that I really loved about it, Tori sent me a text or sent us a text saying, "Hey, I'm about 20 minutes in and I'm loving this." And about 19 minutes into watching the show, I sent a text message saying the same thing. One of my favorite parts was the relationship and the banter between Jacoby and Will Smith's character. You know, to see them kind of go back and forth. Well, one of the funniest parts when he was like, "I can make human faces." He's like, "Well, make the face of an orc that just sit there and don't say nothing for the whole
Yes,
ride."
that has
Oh, I'm doing that. Yeah,
Shut up and drive. Just shut up and drive.
it was great, but just to see their relationship, that it was so compelling. Like even though there wasn't any action right there, that's the sign of a good action movie. A good action movie has action, but during the down times, it's still compelling. It's either suspenseful or you're very interested in the characters. Will Smith did a fantastic job of acting, man. Like particularly at the beginning when he was talking to his wife and he's talking about I'm 5 years from retirement, and you can kind of see the age in his eyes just a little bit. You know, as far as I've been doing this for a while, I thought he was fantastic with that. Like I said, I love the banter. I thought this was a really good. I thought this was like a throwback to like the buddy cop movies from the '90s that I grew up with, like Lethal Weapon and all these type of movies. You know, where you have two people that are completely different, but they have to work together. It was, I mean, it was a complete throwback to Lethal Weapon, when you have two guys, they don't like each other, but they come together in order to make it happen. Also, Will Smith.
Riggs.
Was it?
Riggs.
Riggs.
Right.
Will it to me, Riggs. I love that movie.
And spoiler alert, this is a spoiler review here, guys. Spoilers, spoilers. Will Smith, that awesome aim that he had, bro, that one scene where he turned around and unloaded on those cops.
Yes.
Spoiler alert.
Hey, that scene
That
was
was
that
dope.
scene
was
was
nice.
boss right there.
Yes,
That
sir.
was so nice.
Last thing I'm gonna say about it was I agree with you, Tori. I thought this was like a great first movie. Like it really just gave you enough to really make you want to know more about these characters. And there's so much sequel potential in these movies. There's so many strings, you know, and it wasn't like unresolved things. It's like, man, I want to know more about this. All right, so let's get into any dislikes. So Tori, is there anything in it that you didn't like?
We didn't get to meet the second when I was watching it with Phil. I noticed that there are centaurs all in the movie.
You don't have to rub it in that you was watching it with Phil. You don't have to.
No. I'm sorry.
You have to
I'm
mention
sorry,
that.
but when I was watching the second time, I realized that there were centaurs in the movie. Like there were 4 centaurs that we saw. Like, and I was like, I didn't even notice them the first time. Like there were literally 4 centaurs in the movie if you watched it. And like we didn't even go into that, you know what I'm saying? Like we didn't even get introduced to one or anything like that. There was a dragon flying in the background in one scene, and like That's not. I guess it's not a dislike, but there's just so much. There's just so much more. That I don't have any dislikes for this movie. Really, I can't think of anything that I don't like. Joel Edgerton, his acting as Jacoby. He made me believe he was an orc. Like not for once, there was not one moment in the entire movie that I did not believe he was an orc.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I just can't think of. I don't know what people were so upset about. I enjoyed it. I just really liked the movie.
Nice. Phil, well, are you gonna be Phil or Charlie? Well, I guess your family calls
Yeah,
you
you
Phil.
better not be calling me Phil on this podcast.
Okay. So you guys
I'm
watching,
sorry.
you're not Charlie's family. So call him Charlie. What'd you say about that, Mr. Judy?
uh, my dislikes. Um, I guess really some of the only really dislike that I can see is just I would like to have a little bit of an intro of the Dark, what was it, the Dark Lord? A little bit more on the ending of the movie. I like the climax, but maybe like just seeing like her almost opening the portal or something like that, or something, so we can kind of see, kind of get a taste of the true darkness or the true power or the enemy of the show or the movie. Um, so it kind of draws into that next film. So, but I didn't mind. I still enjoyed everything. How it ended. I just thought that probably could have been elaborated a little bit better on the true enemy the uh of the film. But now that I'm discussing it, I'm trying to think if Lord of the Rings the first Lord of the Rings, did it actually show
Sauron.
the true bad guy?
Yeah, that I
Hmm?
was floating around in all the movies, I think.
The eye? Okay. I didn't know if it actually really showed it. So yeah, just something just kind of letting us know, oh, that's the bad guy right there. Like that's the one
Mhm.
everybody, wants to bring back. So I was trying to think of anything else that I really didn't care for.
What about you,
The
Rashad?
fight scene. Yeah, go ahead, Rashad. Come back to me, see if I
For me,
think of any.
really the only thing was it was a little racial. And I'll get into that. I actually have a whole series of questions about that part there. I think that having Will Smith as the main character kind of toned it down a little bit. Like if they had had a white character there, I think I would have taken the whole movie very differently because it was just a little racial at some points. But kind of having Will Smith there is kind of like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. We have a black person here, and it's okay. So that was that was my only dislike. By the way,
I have a
guys,
question. I have a
everybody checking us
question
out
with that.
here. You can notice all the color commentary guys are wearing hats this time here. I'm rocking the Marvel here. Boom, get Captain America shield and boom. Oh, he wasn't ready for that. You can see Mr. Danny G Quick is rocking Mr. Pikachu over there. And
Pikachu forever.
Pika. And
That-
Charlie is
um,
rocking the best superhero of all time, Batman.
the
Batman is
one with
not a
no
super.
superpowers.
That's right. I'm Batman. All right.
Batman is not a superhero. Get it together.
Oh,
I'm a
what? That's a
detective.
whole other conversation. Whole other conversation. All right, guys, let's get into the real deal here as we get into the last portion of our show here. What was your opinion on some of the imagery and some of the visuals used in the movie? Or was there any like literary techniques that were interesting to you, like any of the foreshadowing or flashbacks or allusions, analogies to other things outside of the movie? I was gonna start with you, Charlie, but Danny, since you are a up and coming movie creator, I'll go ahead and start with you for the visual aspect and the literary aspect.
Oh man. The cinematography of it was probably the least, but like the cinematography, the imagery, they did a good job building the world. They did a great job with that. With they showed us the different, the elven, whatever you call it, where the elves live, how it was all high society. They had the little gold thing around where it was perfect grass or whatever. And they showed us they did a good job with world building and the different sets. And then you had the police officers. It was very distinct. You knew where you were at all times. When you were in the when we were where the Hispanic community was, we knew where we were. When we were in the in the tunnels. We knew where we were, you know, and that was good about it. I liked all of that, and like I said, man, I don't want to be known as the dude who likes everything, but I don't. It's hard for me to pick anything out that I didn't like. Sorry.
Don't worry. When we go back and edit the video, it's gonna say the dude that likes everything right underneath your name. You like the Paulo of this show here, okay?
It was so good. It was so good. That was so good.
I'm like Charlie's like, you know, Charlie's like, I don't know, dog, you know.
I don't know, dog.
I'm definitely signing that. That was trash. That was trash. Why did you even wake up this morning? You should have just killed yourself. Go ahead, Charlie. What you got, man?
I kind of second with Tori on just how they built the world. They made it very believable. I don't think they actually had to use very much like CGI or special effects for this movie, especially not until they got into like the magic portion. I think the magic was was brought to life on the movie, because sometimes when you think of magic, you kind of think of like fairy dust. So their magic was a lot more aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Like when that wand went off, stuff happened, and it wasn't nice a lot of times.
Like a grenade.
You know, it was like when they it really made the what's the word I'm looking for? It'll come to me. But they really made how powerful that wand could be. You know, it's basically like bigger. It's like a nuke, really. To be honest with you. And seeing it like when Will, what's his name on the show? Because I want to just call him Will.
Will.
You don't know? You just call him Will. When Will grabbed the wand at the end, and just kind of seeing it, kind of reminded me of the Guardians of the Galaxy moment when Wesley picks up this stone, and like it just like he got engulfs his whole body in it. So I like that part. The violence, it had a lot of violence. I'm a big, I'm gonna say gore person, but I watch all types of shows. Punishers, you know, very gory. So this definitely, if you don't like gore, you might not like this movie, because they do kill all people. Doesn't matter, man, woman, or child.
Orc, elf, they don't care.
Right.
Yes, they don't care. Fairies, everybody gets it on this movie.
Really bad too. Even the handicap.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Oh yeah, they got the handicap dude. They say, I don't care if you're disabled, you're gonna die.
See right over there, cut his throat. I was like, what? Oh, they killed a little baby. I was like, what? It's killing the baby.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh, she's horrible. I was like,
it's equal rights, man. Everybody gets it, man. There's no differentiation.
I didn't. One thing I did like how they hid the elves' powers, because I didn't think the elves were that strong until the bad elves came in. I thought the elves were kind of like the humans, like they were smart and maybe like could fight quickly and stuff. But when they started throwing people around, I was like, oh. I thought the orcs could do that, but then when I saw them elves do that, I was like, wow, that was they did a really good job with those action scenes. That kind of remind me a little bit of the Superman, the first Superman came out when how fast like she just goes into people and starts, just runs from one side of the street and starts beating up everybody, and like, oh, okay, I didn't know she could do that. So that kind of surprised me, but I did like that as well. So those are some of the things I could think of off the top of my head, that from the visual side of things.
Charlie, as you mentioned this stuff, man, it really makes me think of two other movies here. First of all, when you talked about the wand and it kind of being more weaponized and aggressive, more so than fairy dust type, it really was relatable in a real world sense. And that very much reminded me of Doctor Strange, where they first, Doctor Strange was the very first movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe where they introduced magic. But it was very clear, just from one line, that the Ancient One said that it's like, well, if spells are against your modern terminologies or whatever, sensibilities, then call it a program. So they were definitely trying to do what they could in order to make it seem a little bit more relatable and not out there. And so in the same way, the wand was almost like a grenade. It was like a weapon more so than, Harry Potter, very much, very touche, all that type of stuff. Also, it reminds me of it seemed like they were keeping in canon a little bit with the Lord of the Rings as far as the abilities of the elves, because like when you look about Legolas, he's very similar to how these guys are. He's very, very fast. I'm sure they live a very long time. The overall look of them, as far as being very regal, was very similar to what you saw in the elves from the Lord of the Rings series. As far as imagery for me, I thought it was really, really cool how at the very beginning of the show, they have the graffiti, but the graffiti is using orcs and elves and the Dark Lord and all that type of stuff. I thought that was really, really great as far as, like you said, Tori, building the world. That was awesome. I loved how they have the dragon just kind of floating around in the background on one of the things. It's like, what the heck? That's some old George Lucas stuff right there, but it was cool. I loved it. As far as but outside of just the visual imagery, which was awesome, I really thought there was some interesting things as far as the story was concerned. When you look at Jacoby, there were two very clear Jesus references here. It's one time towards the end of the movie where he is riding with Will Smith and he talks to him and he talks about, I think the character's name is Jaren, and it talked about how Jaren was an orc, but he wasn't blooded and nobody looked at him. And yet he was able to come and unite all the orcs together. I mean, if that's not a Jesus reference, the Savior born in a manger, basically nobody, who turned into the most powerful person. That was very, very clear. And then when you saw Jacoby get killed, spoiler alerts, yeah, he dies. But then he's resurrected.
Pretty bad.
Again. And you can see everybody look at him and the orcs are praising him. Well, obviously resurrection is very, very similar in that type of way. And I'm sure that that's going to mean something in the future. So that imagery was very, very interesting for me. All right.
Yeah, they even said that it was that it was the prophecy that he was, the dude that was riding in the car with them earlier, he said that Will Smith's character was a special. So we found out he was a bright. And now we find out Jacoby is like some part of some prophecy, and that's dope. I think, like I said, man, they did a good job setting the world, and then completing the story that they were telling, but then also putting enough there for us to and I agree with your Jesus allegories too. I did notice that.
So you agree with my Jesus, huh?
Yeah. I thought you was about to turn into a preacher. Turn into a preacher for something there when you started.
I just need an organ behind me. I got the keyboard, but I ain't got nobody to play it. So you need to stop by and play it. You can stop by and play the organ. We ain't not gonna invite Charlie, since apparently we don't all get together. Just two of us do.
We'll get together all together eventually, man.
You were supposed to come to my house and watch it anyway, Rashad.
Well, yeah, that's true. But it's like 3, and I figured I would go home. All right, last question for you guys here. Charlie, what about the racism? So Tori has mentioned that a little bit. What were your feelings on that?
I guess me being a black man, seeing it from a different point of view. So sometimes with these touchy subjects, I don't mind if the director goes there, as long as they do it in a very tasteful way that they can incorporate in the movie. So seeing the ways the orcs are being treated and kind of shunned down did definitely seem to take a look at the African American or just the African perspective in this world. A lot of times we're looked at as the lowest of the races around the world. So I can definitely relate to them, and seeing some of the brutality of the policemen, and seeing it with Will, that did help. But it's like, wow. So I can definitely see what class is what class throughout the movie. So I'm not sure. I understand what they were trying to get through. Maybe they used the orcs as the African American race when it comes to how our world works in real life. And I think that's important to bring that to a movie because a lot of times people they don't really think about how life is for other races. They kind of see what they see on CNN, on Fox News, or whatever election, whatever public official is promoting something, or and they say they make their judgments off of that. But seeing it throughout a movie, like wow, we kind of really get to go see a story of this type of person, and they can kind of relate to it, like okay, I kind of see what some of my friends may talk about when they say they're being profiled or they're saying they're being treated differently than others. This is that social line that they're talking about, and I can kind of see that in a movie, even though it's not real. I can kind of relate that to how some of these other individuals may be feeling. So I didn't mind it. It was a little strong at some points, but I definitely didn't mind having that.
All right, Tori.
I think they used it enough to so when you're writing, when you're creating a story, you have to give the audience something that they can relate to. You have to in order one of the more effective storytelling one of the more effective ways of telling a story is to um, make the audience empathize with one of the characters. So if you can empathize with any of the main characters or any character in the story, it helps you, become part of the world that they're trying to create. So I think that them, using that as a symbol, because it didn't carry on through. I mean, it carried on throughout the movie, but it was really strong there in the beginning. So I think that they did that effectively at that point, but I don't think that they did it too much. I didn't think that don't think they overdid it, so I liked it.
I thought it was interesting, but the main thing that concerned me was when they went to Elf Town. It seemed like they made a very clear decision to make sure that you knew that all of the elves were white.
Hmm.
That kind of bothered me a little bit. It's like, here are the successful individuals, and they're all elves, and obviously the elves who are better than everybody else as far as their wealth is concerned, as far as their physical strength and speed is concerned. Obviously, they're all white, and that kind of bothered me. Like if it had just been like one African American, even a light skinned African American elf walking around, at least to me, it was stepping outside of the context of the movie a little bit and almost
Hmm.
making an allegory to real life. Say, hey, this is where white people are. We all see that where the white people are, and not every white person is wealthy and not every black person is poor. There's plenty of very, very successful African Americans. I think they just could have done that, and by very contrast, let's make sure that you know that the orcs are the African Americans of this. The other part of that was Will Smith's character suffered a little bit from Nick Fury disease, and by that I mean that he's the only black character, at least in his situation. Nick Fury disease. If you watch Avengers, I'm very, very excited about the fact that Nick Fury is the head of Shield. That's awesome, but there's no other black people in Shield like at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah,
Like
I
he's
think
the one and
I
only,
don't
at
remember
least in
seeing
the
another
first
black.
Avengers movie. And when you watch this, if I remember correctly, watching the police force, like it's Will Smith, and then it's a bunch of white guys, and there's one Hispanic dude, and that's pretty much it. So
There was a
if
bunch of Hispanic people.
movie had been done with a white character, I would have had a very different feeling overall because it would have said, "Hey, this is where white people are, and this is where black people are." But again, seeing it from the perspective of Will Smith, it softened that for me, and it made it made it so that that wasn't so distracting from it that I lost it because otherwise I really really loved this. All right, so let's wrap up, man. Tori, you got any closing thoughts, man?
Oh man, I think we did. I think we covered all the bases. Like I didn't even realize until we were just talking about it that there were no other black people in the movie. And now I'm
Other
gonna
than
have to
his
go back and
neighbors.
watch it the third time. Yeah, now I'm gonna have to go back and watch it the third time. So But that's I still enjoyed it. Like you said, it didn't distract me from. I guess Nick Fury or Will Smith didn't distract me from that. So
Nice. Charlie, CP.
Yeah, I think I want everybody to just go watch it for yourselves, make your own opinions. Give us some comments on things that you liked or disliked about the show. But I guess closing for me, I like that they have an edge with with the movie because it creates a deeper connection when you're watching it. Sometimes we don't we want everything in a bow, and you want something easy that doesn't make you feel bad. But those type of movies really don't make an impact. They're just like it's like a Transformer movie. It was a good ride, but it has no emotional impact.
that
but this one, it does make you look hard in the mirror sometimes, and I think we we're trying to do that more in this world to make it better. And it's hard to look at society, all parts of society, um, you know, without getting a little dirt. So I like that they were brave enough to take it there. I understand. I would have liked to see some other black actors. I got to go back and go back and watch the movie to see if there was any more like throughout the movie. But yeah, definitely they kept the main. I guess the main actors, just the two in the car. That kind of reminded me a lot of the Training Day movie. Like you have the main characters,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you're gonna watch throughout the whole movie. So the other are just more like side characters that you kind of see briefly. So I think that's maybe why you didn't see um, some of the other African American or black um, actors throughout in the movie. I
Mm-hmm.
guess, and they were in Los Angeles, so that may that has a very high Hispanic um, population. So that's
Mm-hmm.
maybe why they tried to do more is Hispanics instead of like if they were in New York or some other community that has a larger African American population. Maybe that's more what they would have tied into. But they did have some black guys because his neighbors were black as well.
Right. Yeah, that was it.
true. That's true. You need to crip walk back on over to the barbecue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
walking.
yeah.
They're right over the barbecue. So that dialogue was pretty funny at the beginning.
Man, like I said, that's the only thing that bothered me. Other than that, it is a great movie. The critics are absolutely ridiculous. And I don't even know what the critics have said. I've only
Well,
heard hearsay that they went off on it. But it's obvious because the critics don't know what they're talking about because they said the Star Wars was great. And they said that this was terrible. And obviously, and, so they're just rolling his eyes, but he's the guy that likes everything. So,
Watch the two videos.
hey
Watch
guys,
the two
appreciate
videos that I
you.
sent you.
I appreciate you checking out our show, Color Commentary here. If you like the show, please give us a like. I'm looking here, over there, over there, wherever that like button is, and then hit that, as other many people say, that big sexy subscribe button. There it is. That's my finger. Hit that big sexy subscribe thing. Hey, look how long my finger is. And subscribe to us. And we'll see you guys next time with Color Commentary, views from a different side. Peace.